Hey guys, tonight we are drawing the line. The world is wild and crooked, but we are bringing order. We are joining the Medieval Surveyor. We are going to use secret geometry to map the kingdom using only a rope and a stick. This is a story about angles, distance, and the horizon. So before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe. Now, hear the wind in the grass, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. The field stretches before you. It is early morning. The sun is low, barely clearing the tree line to the east. The grass is wet with dew. You can feel it soaking through the leather of your boots. Each step leaves a dark footprint in the silver field. The world is waking, but slowly. Birds call from the distant hedgerow. A crow, then another. The wind moves across the open ground in waves, pressing the grass flat, then releasing it, then pressing it flat again. The field has no edges you can see. It rolls gently toward the horizon in every direction. Hills in the distance, soft and blue. Closer, the land is green and gold, wild, unmeasured, unknown. This is the chaos. This is the world before the line. You are carrying the Groma. It is heavier than it looks. The wooden staff is smooth from years of handling, worn down by palms and fingers, darkened by sweat and oil. It is about as tall as you are, thick as your wrist at the base, tapering slightly toward the top. At the very top, mortised into the shaft, is the cross. Two wooden arms, each about the length of your forearm, set at perfect right angles to each other. They intersect at the center, where the staff meets them. The wood is harder here, older, sacred in its precision. The corners of the cross are notched. From each corner hangs a plumb line. The plumb lines are simple. Cord, thin and strong, twisted from linen or hemp. At the end of each cord is a weight, lead usually, cast into a teardrop shape. Heavy enough to pull the cord straight down, light enough to settle quickly. The four weights hang motionless now as you carry the tool. They swing slightly with your walking, but when you stop, they stop. They hang. They define the vertical. They point to the center of the earth. You reach the starting point. It was marked yesterday with a wooden peg driven into the ground. Just a stick, really, sharpened at one end, driven down until it stands firm. You can see it ahead, a small vertical rising from the grass. You walk to it, you stop. The plumb lines swing, then settle. You breathe. The wind pushes against your face. You can smell the earth, the grass, the morning. This is where the line begins. You plant the staff of the Groma beside the peg. Not on it, beside it, close enough to sight from. You press the base into the soft ground, leaning your weight onto it. The earth gives. The staff sinks an inch, 2 inches, then holds. You work it slightly, rotating it back and forth, setting it deeper. It needs to be firm. It needs to be still. If the staff moves, the line moves. If the line moves, everything moves. The plumb lines hang from the cross above your head. You step back. You watch them. They sway slightly, disturbed by your movement. Then they settle, perfectly vertical. The four weights point down, four definitions of down, four agreements with gravity. The cross at the top must be level. If the cross tilts, the plumb lines will not hang true. If the plumb lines do not hang true, the sight lines will be false. You crouch down, you sight along the grass. You look at the base of the staff. Is it vertical? You stand. You look up. The cross arms reach out to the four directions, or they will once you orient them. Right now they point northeast, southeast, southwest, northwest, diagonal to the world. You will turn them. But first, you must make certain the staff is plumb. You watch the plumb lines, all four of them. Are they evenly spaced around the staff? If the staff leans, one side will be closer to the shaft, the other farther. You walk around the Groma, slowly, watching. The northeast weight hangs perhaps a finger's width from the staff. You move to the southeast. The same. Southwest. The same. Northwest. The same. The staff is vertical. The cross is level. The tool is ready. Now you must orient it. You must align the arms of the cross with the line you intend to draw. The line runs north, true north, or as close as you can manage. Yesterday you stood here and watched the stars wheel overhead. You found the pole star. You marked its position with the peg. Now, in daylight, you will extend that line across the field. But first, the cross must point the right way. You grasp the staff below the cross. Gently, you rotate it. The cross turns. The plumb lines swing out slightly, then settle back. You turn it more. You are aligning the arms with the cardinal directions. One arm will point north. The opposite arm will point south. The other two arms will point east and west. But how do you know when it is right? You sight, you crouch down again. You position yourself so that your eye is level with the base of the staff. You look north, along the line of the peg you set yesterday. There, far across the field, perhaps 200 paces distant, is another marker. A tall rod, set upright. Your assistant holds it. You can barely see him from here, just a dark figure against the pale morning sky. But you can see the rod. It is taller than he is, painted white so it stands out. You squint. You align your eye with the peg at your feet, with the staff of the Groma, with the distant rod. Now you look up. You stand. You look at the cross. One arm should point north toward the rod. You sight along it, not quite. You rotate the staff slightly. The cross turns. You crouch again. Better, you stand. You sight along the arm. Closer, you adjust. Crouch. Stand. Adjust. Crouch. Stand. It takes time. The wind pushes against you. The grass hisses. Your knees ache from crouching. But slowly, carefully, you bring the arm of the cross into alignment. The north arm points north. The south arm points south. East is east. West is west. The Groma is set. The plumb lines hang. Two of them are now aligned with your sight line. The north weight and the south weight hang on opposite sides of the cross, on opposite ends of the same arm. If you look north, you look past the near weight, past the far weight, out toward the horizon. If the weights are aligned, if your eye and the near weight and the far weight are all in a straight line, then you are sighting true. The line is there, invisible in the air, defined by geometry and gravity. You sight north. You position yourself behind the Groma, south of it, so that you look through the plumb lines toward the distant rod. You move your head slightly left. The near weight appears to the right of the far weight. You move your head slightly right. The near weight appears to the left of the far weight. You center yourself. You move your head until the near weight and the far weight are perfectly aligned, one in front of the other. Now your eye is on the line. Now you can extend the line forward. But the rod is not on the line. You can see it there in the distance, but it is off to the left. Your assistant has not placed it correctly, or perhaps the wind has blown it, or perhaps it was never quite right to begin with. No matter, you will guide him. You cup your hands around your mouth. You shout, left. Your voice carries across the field, thin and distant. You see the figure move. The rod tilts, moves slightly to the right. Your right, his left. Good. He understands. The rod settles again, upright. You sight. The near weight, the far weight, your eye. The rod is still off, still to the left of the line. Left, you shout again. The figure moves. The rod moves. Smaller adjustments now. He is learning the rhythm. You sight closer, but still not there. Left. He moves. You sight nearly there. Left. Just a bit more. You sight the near weight, the far weight, the rod. All three aligned, all three on the line. The invisible geometry made visible through these 3 points. Stop, you shout. Hold. The figure freezes. The rod stands still. You sight again just to be certain. Yes, perfect. The line is true. Now the rod must be replaced with something permanent. A stake, a marker, a point that will remain after you have moved on. Your assistant knows what to do. He carries stakes with him. Wooden, sharpened at one end, about as long as your forearm. He sets the rod aside. He takes a stake. He positions it at the base of where the rod was standing. He raises a mallet. You can barely see this from here, but you know the movements. You have done this 100 times. Thud. You hear it faintly, the sound of wood striking wood, the mallet driving the stake into the earth. Thud. Again, deeper. Thud. The stake is set. The point is fixed. This is a datum, a known place, a location defined not by the land itself, but by the line you have drawn through it. You mark this in your mind, the first point, the beginning of the boundary or the road or the wall or whatever it is you are surveying. The kingdom needs to know where things are. The Lord needs to know the extent of his land. The church needs to know where to build. The city needs to know where the road will go. And so you draw the line. You make the invisible visible. You make the chaos knowable. But one point is not enough. You need another, and another. The line must extend. You must move forward. You lift the Groma. You pull the staff from the earth. It comes free with a soft sound, a release of pressure. The plumb lines swing wildly for a moment, disturbed by the movement. You carry the tool forward, toward the stake your assistant has just driven. You walk carefully, trying not to trip in the grass, trying to keep the Groma steady. The weights swing and settle with each step. You reach the stake. It stands firm in the ground, the top of it about knee-high. You set the Groma beside it just as before. You plant the staff. You press it down. You work it into the earth. You step back. You watch the plumb lines settle. You check the vertical. You walk around. All four weights hang evenly. Good. Now you must orient the cross again. You look back the way you came. There 200 paces behind you is the starting peg. It is small now, hard to see, but you can see it. You align the south arm of the cross with that point. You sight, you adjust. You crouch and stand and crouch and stand. Slowly the cross comes into alignment. The south arm points south, back to the starting point. The north arm points north, forward along the line. The line continues. Your assistant has moved ahead. He carries the rod forward another 200 paces, more or less. He plants it in the ground. You sight. You guide him. Right, you shout. He moves. Right, again. Right, again. Stop. The rod is on the line. He drives another stake. Thud, thud, thud. The second point is set. And so it goes. You move forward, stake to stake to stake. Each one a point on the line. Each one a confirmation of the geometry. The line is straight because you have made it straight, because you have sighted and adjusted and sighted again, because the plumb lines hang true, because the earth pulls them down and you pull them forward, extending the vertical into the horizontal, translating gravity into direction. The sun rises higher, the dew burns off, the grass dries, the wind shifts, coming now from the west, warm and steady. You are sweating, your shoulders ache from carrying the Groma, your voice is rough from shouting directions across the field. But the line grows, stake after stake, point after point. The chaos of the field is being measured, divided, known. You stop for water. You drink from a leather flask. Your assistant walks back to join you. He is younger than you, lean and sunburned. He does not speak much. He does not need to. He knows the work. He has been doing this for months now, learning the rhythm, learning to read your hand signals when your voice does not carry, learning to set the stakes straight and firm. He drinks. You both stand there silent, looking back along the line you have drawn. You can see the stakes marching across the field. Small vertical marks against the horizontal expanse, a row of definitions, a declaration that this field, this wild place, is now part of something larger, part of the kingdom, part of the order. You rest for a few minutes, then you continue. The line extends. You are aiming for a landmark on the far side of the field, a large oak tree, old and broad. It stands alone near the edge of the forest. You have been sighting on it all morning, using it to keep your general direction. But you will not reach it today. The line is long and the work is slow. Each stake must be set precisely. Each sighting must be checked. Precision takes time. By midday you have advanced perhaps half a mile. 20 stakes, maybe 25. Each one 200 paces from the last, more or less. You do not count the paces exactly. You are not measuring distance yet. You are establishing direction. The line must be straight first. Distance can be measured later with chains and ropes and careful counting. But straightness must be built in from the beginning. If the line curves, if it wanders, then all the measurements that follow will be wrong. The boundary will be wrong. The map will be wrong. The kingdom will be wrong. You reach a point where the ground begins to slope. A gentle hill, barely noticeable when you are walking, but significant when you are trying to sight long distances. You plant the Groma at the base of the slope. You sight ahead. Your assistant is at the top of the hill now, and you cannot see the bottom of his rod. The curve of the earth, the rise of the land, blocks your view. You can only see the top half of the rod, standing up above the crest of the hill. This is a problem. You need to sight along the full length of the plumb lines to the full length of the rod. You need to see the base, where the rod meets the ground, where the stake will be driven. If you cannot see the base, you cannot be certain of the alignment. You signal your assistant to come back. He walks down the hill toward you. You explain. He nods. He understands. He will plant the rod halfway up the slope where you can see it fully. You will set a stake there, then move the Groma to that stake and sight again to the top of the hill. Two shorter sightings instead of one long one. Slower, but more accurate. You sight, you guide him. Right, right, stop. He drives the stake. You move the Groma forward. You set it beside the new stake. You sight again, now to the top of the hill. Left, left, stop. Another stake. You move again. Now you are at the top of the hill and the line continues down the far side. You can see for miles from here. The field spreads out below you and beyond it more fields, more forest, more hills. The kingdom is vast, unmeasured, but you are measuring it, stake by stake, line by line. The afternoon wears on. The sun is hot now. The wind has died. The air is still and heavy. You are tired. Your assistant is tired. But the work continues. You do not stop. The line must be finished, or at least advanced far enough that you can find it again tomorrow. Each stake is a point of reference. Each stake is a promise that you can return, that you can continue, that the line will not be lost. You reach a place where the ground is rocky. The grass is thin here and the earth is hard. Your assistant struggles to drive the stake. The mallet rings against the wood. Thud, thud, thud. The stake barely moves. He strikes harder. The top of the stake begins to split. He stops. He pulls it out. He takes another stake, one with a harder point. He tries again. This time it goes in, slowly, grudgingly. The earth does not want to be marked here, but it will be, because the line demands it. You continue. The sun is lower now, sinking toward the western horizon. The shadows are long. The light is golden. You are nearing the edge of the field. The oak tree is close. You can see the details of its bark, the shape of its leaves. But you will not reach it today. The light is fading. Soon it will be too dark to sight accurately. You must stop. You plant the Groma one last time. You set the final stake of the day. You mark it in your memory. Tomorrow you will return. Tomorrow you will start from this point. Tomorrow the line will continue. But now you must make a corner. The line you have been drawing runs north. True north, as near as you can judge. But the boundary you are surveying does not run north forever. It must turn. It must enclose a space. The Lord's estate is not a line. It is an area, a shape, and shapes have corners. You must turn the line 90 degrees, a perfect right angle, east perhaps or west. The choice was made days ago when the survey was planned, when the maps were drawn, when the agreements were signed. You will turn west. The boundary will run west for a certain distance, then south, then east, closing the shape. But that is work for later. For now, you must make the corner. You must turn the line. This is where the Groma shows its true power. The cross at the top, the four arms, the four plumb lines. They are set at right angles to each other. Perfect right angles, or as perfect as human hands can make them. When you align the cross with the north-south line, you also aligned it with the east-west line. The arms that point east and west are perpendicular to the arms that point north and south. 90 degrees. A quarter turn of the circle. The fundamental angle of the square, the rectangle, the grid. You rotate yourself. You have been standing south of the Groma, looking north. Now you move. You walk around the tool until you are standing east of it, looking west. The Groma does not move. The cross does not turn. Only you have moved. Only your perspective has changed. You sight. You look through the plumb lines, but now you are looking through the east-west pair. The near weight hangs between you and the cross. The far weight hangs on the opposite side. You align your eye with them. You look west. The line is there, invisible but real, defined by the geometry of the cross, by the hang of the weights, by the perfect right angle built into the tool. Your assistant has already moved. He knows what is happening. He has taken the rod and walked west, out into the field, perpendicular to the line you have been drawing all day. He plants the rod. You sight. Left, you shout. He moves. Left, again. Left, again. You are guiding him onto the new line, the line that runs west, the line that forms a perfect 90-degree angle with the line that runs north. Stop! The rod is on the line. He drives the stake. Thud, thud, thud. The corner is marked. The turn is made. You sight again just to be certain. Yes, the stake is on the east-west line. The corner is true. Tomorrow you will continue west. You will extend this new line, stake by stake, until it too must turn. But that is tomorrow. Today is done. You lift the Groma. You pull the staff from the earth. The plumb lines swing. You rest the tool on your shoulder and begin the walk back to the village. Your assistant gathers the stakes that were not used, the mallet, the rod. He follows. The field is quiet. The sun is setting. The sky is turning pink and orange and purple. The shadows are long and soft. Behind you, the stakes stand in their line, straight and true. A row of wooden markers stretching across the field. They will stand there overnight. Tomorrow they will still be there, and you will return, and the work will continue. The line will grow. The boundary will take shape. The map will be drawn. The kingdom will be known. This is the work of the surveyor, to bring order to chaos, to draw the line where no line was, to measure the unmeasurable, to make the invisible visible. The grass hisses in the evening breeze. The crickets are beginning to sing. The first stars are appearing in the darkening sky. You walk home, the Groma on your shoulder, the day's work behind you, tomorrow's work ahead. The Groma is an ancient tool. The Romans used it, perhaps the Egyptians before them, perhaps others before them lost to time. The principle is simple. Gravity defines the vertical defines the horizontal defines the straight line defines the corner defines the square defines the field defines the estate defines the kingdom. All of it built on the hang of a weight, on the pull of the earth, on the invisible force that draws all things down, and which you, the surveyor, translate into the force that draws all things forward, across the land, across the field, across the kingdom. The village is ahead. Smoke rises from the hearths. Cooking fires, the smell of bread, of stew. You are hungry, you are tired, your shoulders ache, your voice is rough. Your knees hurt from crouching and standing all day. But the work is good, the work is necessary. Without the line there is only chaos. Without the survey there is only dispute. Whose land is this? Where does one estate end and another begin? The line answers. The stake confirms. The map records. You reach the village. You lean the Groma against the wall of your house. You will clean it tomorrow, check the plumb lines for wear, check the cross for cracks. The tool must be maintained. It must be accurate. It must be trusted. Your reputation depends on it. The Lord's boundary depends on it. The peace of the kingdom depends on it. You eat, you drink, you rest. The night deepens. You lie in your bed, but you do not sleep yet. Your mind is still in the field, still sighting through the plumb lines, still shouting directions, still hearing the thud of the mallet driving the stakes. You think about tomorrow. The line will turn west. You will extend it stake by stake across new ground, rocky ground perhaps, marshy ground, forested ground. Each type of terrain brings its own challenges. Rocky ground resists the stakes. Marshy ground swallows them. Forested ground blocks the sight lines. But you will adapt. You will find a way. The line must continue. You think about the corner you made today. The turn from north to west, 90 degrees. A right angle. How do you know it is exactly 90 degrees? The cross of the Groma is built to be square, but wood warps. Joints loosen. How can you be certain? You cannot, not absolutely, but you can be close, close enough. The corner will be nearly square. The boundary will be nearly regular, nearly is good enough. Perfection is impossible. The earth is not perfect. The wood is not perfect. Human hands are not perfect, but they are good enough. And if there is doubt, if there is dispute, you have methods. You can measure the diagonals of the square you are creating. If the diagonals are equal, the corners are square. You can use the rope with 12 knots, the old Egyptian method, to create a 3-4-5 triangle, a perfect right angle. You can check and double check and triple check. You can be as certain as human methods allow. But in the field, in the moment, you trust the Groma. You trust the hang of the weights. You trust the geometry built into the cross. You trust your eye and your judgment and your years of experience. You trust that the line is true because you have made it true, because you have sighted carefully and adjusted patiently and checked repeatedly. The work of the surveyor is the work of trust. You build trust into the land. The stakes you drive are markers of trust. The Lord trusts that the boundary you draw is his boundary. The neighbor trusts that the boundary you draw is not his land. The king trusts that the map you create reflects the kingdom as it is. All of it built on the work you do with the Groma, with the plumb lines, with the stakes. You close your eyes, you see the field, the grass, the wind, the stakes in their row, the invisible line connecting them, the geometry of it, the order of it, the beauty of it. The world is wild and crooked, but you are bringing order. You are drawing the line. You are making the chaos knowable. Tomorrow you will continue. Tonight you rest. The wind moves through the grass outside your window. The same wind that moved through the grass in the field. The same wind that swayed the plumb lines, or tried to, but could not, because gravity is stronger than wind. Because the vertical is absolute. Because the earth pulls down with a force that cannot be denied. And from that vertical you build the horizontal. From the down you build the across. From the point you build the line. From the line you build the corner. From the corner you build the shape. From the shape you build the map. From the map you build the kingdom. All of it resting on the pull of the earth, on the hang of a lead weight, on the sighting through two strings, on the shout across a field, on the thud of a mallet driving a stake into the ground. Thud, thud, thud. The sound echoes in your memory, the sound of order being imposed on chaos, the sound of the unknown becoming known, the sound of the surveyor's work. You drift, sleep is coming, but before it takes you fully, you review the day, the starting peg, the first sighting, the first stake, the advance across the field, the hill, the rocky ground, the final stake of the day, the corner, the turn to the west, all of it clear in your mind, all of it recorded in your memory and in the stakes you left standing in the field. Tomorrow you will record it on paper. You will draw the map. You will note the distances, the angles, the landmarks, the oak tree, the rocky patch, the hill. All of it will be transferred from the field to the page, from the real to the representation, from the land to the map. But the map is not the land. The map is a tool like the Groma. It is a way of knowing the land, a way of showing others what you have found, a way of making decisions about the land without being on the land. But the map is not the land. The land is the grass and the wind and the dew and the rocks and the hill and the oak tree. The land is real and solid and wet and hard. The map is paper and ink and lines and symbols. The map is abstract and portable and easy to change. You can redraw a line on a map. You cannot redraw a boundary on the land, not without consequence. And so the surveyor's work is consequential. The lines you draw matter. The corners you mark matter. The stakes you drive matter. They define ownership. They define use. They define value. A field on one side of the line belongs to one lord. The same field on the other side of the line belongs to another. The difference is the line you drew, the line the Groma defined, the line the stakes mark. It is a heavy responsibility, but it is also a simple one. Draw the line straight, make the corner square, mark it clearly, record it accurately, trust the tools, trust the methods, trust the geometry. You sleep. Morning comes. The sun rises. You wake. You eat. You gather your tools, the Groma, the stakes, the mallet, the measuring chain. For today you will begin to measure distances as well as directions. You will count the paces between stakes, or better, you will stretch the chain and count the links. A chain is more accurate than paces. A chain does not vary with tiredness or terrain. A chain is constant. Your assistant joins you. You walk back to the field. The stakes are still there, standing where you left them, the row of them stretching across the ground. You walk to the last stake, the corner stake, the one that marks the turn to the west. You set the Groma beside it. You plant the staff. You level the cross. You sight. The western line awaits. The boundary continues. The work continues. You position yourself east of the Groma. You look west through the plumb lines. Your assistant has already moved ahead, the rod planted in the ground. You sight, you guide. Right, right, stop. He drives the stake. You note the distance. You will measure it later with the chain, but for now you estimate. 200 paces, close enough. You move forward. You set the Groma beside the new stake. You sight again. Another stake. Another 200 paces. The line extends westward. The ground here is different. The grass is shorter. There are wildflowers, yellow and white and purple. They nod in the breeze. Bees move among them. The hum of the bees, the rustle of the grass, the distant call of a bird. The world is alive around you, but you are focused on the line, on the geometry, on the abstraction that you are imposing on this living, breathing place. Is it violence, this work? Are you harming the land by measuring it, by dividing it, by drawing lines across it? Perhaps, but the land will be divided whether you measure it or not. People will claim it. People will dispute it. People will fight over it. The line does not create the division. The line reveals it. The line makes it clear. The line prevents the fight, or at least makes the fight unnecessary, because the line is agreed upon, because the line is witnessed, because the line is marked with stakes that cannot be denied. And so you continue, stake by stake. The bees buzz, the flowers nod, the grass rustles, and the line grows straight and true across the field. By midday you have advanced another half-mile, another 20 stakes more or less. The western line is taking shape. You stop for water, for bread, for rest. The sun is hot. There is no shade here. You sit in the grass and feel the heat pressing down on you. Your assistant sits nearby, silent, tired, but steady. He is learning. Someday he will be the surveyor, and you will be the old man who trained him, who taught him to trust the Groma, who taught him to sight carefully and mark clearly and record accurately. You rest, then you continue. The afternoon brings clouds. They build in the west, tall and white, their tops glowing in the sun. Beneath them the sky is dark. A storm is coming. You can feel it in the air. The pressure changing, the wind shifting, the birds falling silent. You work faster. You need to set as many stakes as possible before the rain comes, before the visibility drops, before the wind makes the plumb lines swing. You sight, you guide, you mark, stake after stake. Faster now, less careful, but still accurate enough, good enough. The storm approaches. The clouds tower above you. The wind picks up. The grass lays flat. The plumb lines begin to swing, not much, but enough to matter. You steady them with your hand. You wait for them to settle. You sight quickly. Left, stop. The stake goes in, you move. Right, stop. Another stake. The wind gusts. The plumb lines swing wide. You grab them. You hold them still. You wait. The gust passes. They settle. You sight. Stop. Another stake. The first drops of rain hit, cold and heavy. They splash on your face, on your hands, on the wooden cross of the Groma. The plumb lines get wet. The weights get wet. Everything gets wet. You make a decision. One more stake, just one more, then you will stop. You will mark this point and return tomorrow. You sight. The rain is falling harder now. Left, left, stop. Your assistant drives the stake. Thud, thud, thud. The sound is muffled by the rain. Done. You lift the Groma. You pull the staff from the earth. The rain is pouring now. You are soaked. Your assistant is soaked. You run, back toward the village. The Groma bouncing on your shoulder. The stakes and mallet clanging in the bag your assistant carries. The rain hammering down. You reach the village. You reach your house. You duck inside. You lean the Groma against the wall. Water drips from it, from you, from everything. You are breathing hard. Your heart is pounding. But you are smiling. Because the work is done. Because the line continues. Because even the storm could not stop you. You dry the Groma. You check the cross. No cracks. You check the plumb lines. No tangles. You check the weights. Still attached. The tool is sound. Tomorrow, when the rain stops, you will continue. But for now, you rest. You listen to the rain on the roof. You listen to the wind. You think about the line. The stakes standing in the field, getting wet, getting battered, but standing, marking the boundary, holding the line. The storm passes in the night. By morning, the sky is clear. The sun rises into a washed world. Everything is clean. The grass is green and fresh. The air is cool. You gather your tools. You return to the field. The stakes are still there, every one of them. The rain did not wash them away. The wind did not blow them down. They stand where you put them, faithful, reliable, true. You continue the work. The western line extends, day after day, stake after stake. You encounter new obstacles, a stream that must be crossed. You wade into it, the water cold and swift. You plant the Groma on the far bank. You sight back across. You guide your assistant through the water. He drives the stake. The line continues, unbroken, through the stream. You encounter a thicket, dense and thorny. You cannot sight through it. You must go around. You set stakes on either side, marking where the line would go if the thicket were not there. Later, when the boundary is cleared, when the hedge is planted or the wall is built, it will follow the line. But for now, the line exists only in the stakes, and in your notes, and in the map you are building in your mind and on paper. You encounter a ditch, an old boundary perhaps, long abandoned. It runs north to south, perpendicular to your line. You measure it. You note it on your map. Your line crosses it, ignoring it, claiming this land for the new boundary, for the new order. The western line reaches its end. A certain distance has been covered. The plan calls for the next turn. South, another 90-degree corner. You set the Groma, you rotate yourself. You sight through the south-facing plumb lines. You guide your assistant. The corner is marked. The line turns south. And so the work continues. South now, retracing your earlier path but offset to the west. The boundary is forming a shape. A rectangle, 4 sides, 4 corners. The Lord's estate defined and enclosed. But you are not finished yet. The southern line must be extended. The eastern line must be drawn. The 4th corner must be marked. Only then will the circuit be complete. Only then will the boundary be closed. This is the work. This is the endless patience. This is the methodical, careful, precise work of the surveyor. No shortcuts, no guesses, every stake sighted, every corner checked, every distance measured. The days pass. The line grows south, east, north, closing the circuit, returning to the start. And finally, one afternoon, you set the final stake. You sight back to the starting peg, the one you set weeks ago, the one that began the whole survey. The line is complete. The circuit is closed. The boundary is defined. You stand there looking at the last stake. Your assistant stands beside you. Neither of you speaks. There is nothing to say. The work is done. You walk the boundary, all of it, checking each stake, making certain they are still firm, making notes, recording landmarks, drawing the final map, the map that will be presented to the Lord, the map that will define his estate, the map that will prevent disputes, the map that will bring order. The map is beautiful, not because it is ornate or decorated. It is simple, lines and symbols and notes. But it is beautiful because it is true, because it represents the land accurately, because it can be trusted, because it was made with care. You present the map, the Lord examines it. He nods, he is satisfied, the boundary is clear, the estate is defined, the work is accepted. You are paid, coins in a leather purse, the weight of them, the reality of them. This is why you do the work, for the coins, for the living, but also for something else, for the satisfaction of drawing the line, of bringing order, of making the invisible visible. You return home, you clean the Groma, you oil the wood, you check the plumb lines one more time, you hang the tool on the wall. It will rest there until the next survey, until the next lord needs a boundary, until the next field needs to be measured. But the work is never truly done. The kingdom is vast. There are always more lines to draw, more boundaries to mark, more chaos to order. And so you rest, but only for a time. Soon enough, someone will come. Someone will need the surveyor. Someone will need the line. And you will take down the Groma, you will gather your stakes, you will call your assistant, and you will walk out into the field, and you will plant the staff, and you will hang the plumb lines, and you will sight, and you will guide, and you will mark. And the line will grow, straight and true, across the grass, across the kingdom, across the world. Because the world is wild and crooked, but you are bringing order. You are the surveyor. You are drawing the line. The next morning brings a new task. The boundary is marked, yes, but corners must be verified. The Lord's steward has questions. Is the corner truly square? How can you prove it? The Groma showed you where to turn, but wood warps, joints loosen, human eyes tire. There must be another way, a way to check, a way to confirm, a way to prove beyond doubt that the corner you made is a true corner, a right angle, 90 degrees exactly. You reach into your bag, you pull out a rope. It is not an ordinary rope. It has been prepared, measured, marked. This rope is a tool as much as the Groma is a tool, more ancient perhaps, older than Rome, older than Greece. From Egypt, some say, where the priest surveyors used ropes like this to re-establish the boundaries of fields after the Nile's annual flood washed away all markers. The river would rise and cover the land, and when it receded, everything was mud. No boundaries, no markers. Only the rope and the knowledge could restore order. You lay the rope out on the grass. It is long, perhaps the length of 4 men lying head to foot. The rope is made of hemp, twisted tight, treated with oil to resist water and rot. But the most important feature is the knots. There are 12 knots tied into this rope, 12 bulges in the otherwise smooth length. They are spaced equally along the rope. You measured them yourself years ago when you made this tool. You used a measuring rod, a standard cubit, and you tied each knot exactly 1 cubit from the next. The first knot is 1 cubit from the end. The second knot is 1 cubit from the first. The third is 1 cubit from the second. And so on. 12 intervals. 12 equal spaces. 13 sections if you count the ends, but the ends are just handles. The knots are what matter. 12 knots, 12 spaces. The number is not arbitrary. It is chosen, calculated, sacred even, because 12 can be divided in useful ways, 3 and 4 and 5, and 3 and 4 and 5 make magic. You call your assistant over. He has seen the rope before, but he has not used it, not like this. Today he will learn. You hand him one end of the rope. Hold this, you say. You point to a spot on the ground. Stand there, do not move. He takes the end. He stands. You take the other end of the rope. You walk away from him, letting the rope unfurl. You count the knots as they pass through your hands. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. You reach the far end. The rope is stretched between you and your assistant, taut, straight. But you are not going to keep it straight. You are going to make a triangle. You call to the assistant, mark your position. He drives a small stake into the ground at his feet, the first point of the triangle. You walk back toward him, gathering the rope. You count the knots. You stop at the third knot, 3 spaces from his stake to this point. You hold the third knot firmly. Come here, you call to another worker, a young man from the village who has come to watch. Hold this knot. Do not let it move. He grasps the knot. He stands still. Now you have 2 points. The assistant at the first stake, holding one end of the rope. The young man holding the third knot, 3 spaces of rope between them. You continue walking. You have the rest of the rope in your hands. From the third knot you count 4, 5, 6, 7, the 7th knot, 4 more spaces. You stop here. You hold the 7th knot. The rope now forms 2 sides of a triangle, 3 spaces from the first stake to the third knot, 4 spaces from the third knot to where you stand at the 7th knot. But the triangle is not complete. You need the third side. You have 5 spaces of rope left, from the 7th knot to the end of the rope. 5 knots remaining, 5 intervals. You call to your assistant, pull the rope tight. He does. The rope stretches from his stake, 3 spaces to the young man at the third knot. You pull your end of the rope toward the assistant. The 5 remaining spaces stretch out. You walk toward him, keeping the rope taut. The young man holds the third knot steady. You approach the assistant. You bring the end of the rope to him. If the rope is measured correctly, if the knots are spaced truly, if the geometry is sound, then the end of the rope will meet the beginning. 5 spaces from the 7th knot back to the starting stake. And when it does, when the triangle closes, something miraculous happens. The corner at the third knot, where the young man stands, becomes a right angle, exactly 90 degrees, not because you sighted it, not because you estimated it, but because the numbers force it, 3 and 4 and 5, the sacred triangle, the proof of Pythagoras, though Pythagoras lived centuries ago, and this knowledge is older still. The rope end reaches the stake. You pull it tight. The triangle is complete, 3 sides, 3 corners. One corner, the one at the third knot, is square. You can feel it in the tension of the rope. You can see it in the way the lines meet. But you verify. You take a wooden square from your bag, a simple tool, 2 straight edges joined at 90 degrees. You place it at the third knot where the young man stands. The edges of the square align with the rope. Perfect. The corner is true. This is the magician's trick. This is the secret of the surveyor, 3 and 4 and 5. A triangle with these proportions is always square at one corner, always. It is a law of geometry. It cannot be otherwise. 3 squared is 9, 4 squared is 16, 5 squared is 25. 9 plus 16 equals 25. The relationship is eternal, unchanging, trustworthy. You can use this to check the corners of your survey. You can use this to create corners when the Groma is not available. You can use this to prove to the Lord, to the steward, to the neighbor, that the boundary is square. You mark the position of the third knot with a stake. This stake is now at exactly 90 degrees from the line between the first stake and your position. The corner is verified. The boundary is sound. You gather the rope. You coil it carefully. Each knot must remain distinct. The spacing must not change. This rope is precious. It is knowledge made physical. It is geometry made holdable. Your assistant watches. He understands now. He sees how the numbers work, how the rope works. He will remember this. When he becomes a surveyor, when he trains his own assistant, he will teach this. The rope, the knots, the triangle, the proof. The sun is higher now. The morning is aging into midday. You have verified the corner. Now you must measure the distances. The stakes are set. The boundary is marked. But how long is each side? How many rods? How many chains? How many acres does the estate contain? For this, you need the chain. You return to your tools. The chain lies coiled like a metal snake. It is heavy. Iron links, each one forged and tested, each one exactly the same length as the others. The chain does not stretch like rope. It does not shrink when wet or expand when dry. It does not vary with temperature or humidity. The chain is constant. The chain is truth. The chain is one chain in length. That is its name and its measure. One chain equals 4 rods. One chain equals 66 feet. One chain equals 100 links. Each link is a known quantity, a fraction of the whole. Measure 10 chains in a straight line, then measure 10 chains perpendicular, and you have enclosed 1 acre. The mathematics is built into the tool. You lift the chain. It is heavy. Your hands strain. You drag it to the first stake, the starting point of the boundary. You lay the chain out on the ground, straight as you can manage, one end at the stake, the other end stretched forward along the line. Clink. The links settle against each other, metal on metal, a sound like coins, like armor, like the Industrial Revolution that is still centuries away, but is being born here in small ways, in tools like this. You walk to the far end of the chain, one chain's length from the first stake. You drive a counting pin into the ground, a small rod, pointed just to mark the spot. This is one chain. You return to the first stake. You gather the chain. You drag it forward, the weight of it, the resistance of the grass, the scrape of the links against the earth. Clink, drag, clink. You align the starting end of the chain with the counting pin you just set. You stretch the chain forward again. Another chain's length. You mark it with another pin. 2 chains. And so you continue, chain after chain, pin after pin, measuring the distance between the stakes you set with the Groma. The work is slow. The chain is heavy. Each measurement must be careful. The chain must be straight. It must be taut. It must not sag or curve. Otherwise, the measurement is false. Clink, drag, clink. 3 chains, 4 chains, 5. Your back aches. The chain seems to grow heavier with each repetition, but you do not stop. Accuracy requires patience. The Lord is paying for accuracy. Your assistant helps. He holds one end while you stretch the other. He marks the pins while you record the numbers. 10 chains from the first stake to the second. You note it. You move on. The second side of the boundary, the western line, you begin again, chain by chain, pin by pin. Clink, drag, clink. The sun beats down. You are sweating. Your hands are rough from the iron links, but the work is satisfying. Each measurement is a certainty. Each chain's length is known. No guessing, no estimating, just the steady accumulation of distance. 15 chains on the western line. You note it. The southern line, 8 chains. You note it. The eastern line, 15 chains, closing the circuit, returning to the start. You add the numbers, 10 plus 15 plus 8 plus 15. 48 chains total, the perimeter of the estate. You calculate the area, the geometry of the rectangle, length times width. 15 chains by 8 chains, 120 square chains. How many acres is that? One chain by one chain is 1/10 of an acre. So 120 square chains is 12 acres. 12 acres. The estate is 12 acres. You note it on your record. The Lord now knows the size of his holding. Not approximately, not roughly, exactly. 12 acres. But you are not finished. The measurement of the perimeter is only part of the survey. You must also measure interior features. The stream that crosses the estate. How far from the northern boundary? You measure. 6 chains. You note it. How wide is the stream? You measure with a smaller chain or with the rope. 2 rods wide. You note it. The oak tree, how far from the western boundary? 4 chains, you note it. What is the circumference of the trunk? You wrap the rope around it. 12 feet. You note it. An old tree, a landmark. It will be mentioned in the deed. The rocky patch, how far from the southern boundary? 3 chains. How large is the patch? You pace it. Roughly 1 chain by 1 chain. 1/10 of an acre of poor soil. It will affect the value of the estate. You note it. Every feature is measured. Every distance is recorded. The field is no longer a wild place. It is a known place. It is a mapped place. It is an owned place. The sun is sinking. The afternoon is aging into evening. You have been measuring all day. The chain has been dragged across the entire estate. Every boundary, every feature. Your arms are tired. Your legs are tired. But the work is complete. You coil the chain, link by link, clink, clink, clink. The sound is softer now, tired like you. The chain is heavy. It is always heavy, but now it feels heavier still. The weight of the day's work, the weight of the knowledge you have gathered. You gather the counting pins, you count them. 10 pins, the same number you started with. Good, none lost, none forgotten. Each pin is valuable, each pin is a tool. You shoulder your bag, the chain, the pins, the rope with its 12 knots, the wooden square. The Groma is already back at your house, resting against the wall. Tomorrow you will clean it again. But tonight you must make the map. You return to the village. The sun is low. The shadows are long. The air is cooling. You can smell cooking fires, hear voices, children playing. Life continuing, ordinary and familiar, while you carry the knowledge of the boundary, the measurements, the shape of the estate, in your bag and in your mind. You reach your house, you enter, you light a lamp. The oil burns with a steady flame. You set the lamp on the table. You take out a slate, smooth and dark. You take out a piece of chalk, white and soft. You begin to draw. The map is simple at first. 4 lines forming a rectangle. You draw them to scale. Not exact scale, but proportional. 15 chains by 8 chains. On the slate, this becomes 15 finger widths by 8 finger widths. The shape is the same. The proportions are the same. The reality is compressed into the representation. You mark the corners, small dots where the boundary turns. You label them: northeast corner, northwest corner, southwest corner, southeast corner. You draw the internal features. The stream, a wavy line crossing from the northwest to the southeast. You mark its distance from the northern boundary. 6 chains. You draw the oak tree, a small circle near the western boundary. You note its distance. 4 chains. You draw the rocky patch, a shaded area near the southern boundary. 3 chains from the edge. You add measurements, numbers beside each line. 10 chains, 15 chains, 8 chains, 15 chains. The perimeter is quantified. The area is calculated. 12 acres. You write it at the bottom of the slate. The map grows more detailed. You add the stakes, small marks where each one stands. You number them. Stake 1, stake 2, stake 3. Following the boundary clockwise, each stake is a reference point. Each stake can be found again. You add landmarks beyond the boundary, the forest to the north, the road to the east, the neighboring estate to the south, the common pasture to the west. These provide context. They anchor the estate in the larger world. They show how this parcel relates to others. You add orientation, an arrow pointing north. This is essential. Without orientation, the map is meaningless. North must be marked, always. You add a scale, a small line at the bottom of the slate. 1 chain, it says, this long, so that anyone who reads the map can understand the distances, can translate from the representation back to the reality. The map is nearly complete, but it needs one more thing. It needs verification. It needs your mark. You sign it. Your name or your mark if you cannot write your name. A symbol that identifies you as the surveyor. A symbol that says, I made this. I vouch for this. This is true. The map is finished. You set down the chalk. You lean back. You look at what you have created. A field compressed onto a slate. A wild place made orderly. Chaos transformed into geometry. The map is beautiful, not because it is artistic. You are not an artist, you are a surveyor. The map is beautiful because it is accurate, because it is useful, because it represents something real. The field still exists, the grass still grows, the stream still flows, the oak tree still stands. But now they exist on the slate as well. Now they can be carried. Now they can be shown to others. Now they can be disputed or confirmed. Now they can be understood without walking the land. This is the power of the map. It makes the absent present. It makes the distant near. It makes the complex simple. It is a tool for thought, for planning, for ownership, for governance. The Lord will receive this map. He will study it. He will see his estate laid out before him. He will know its size, its shape, its features. He will know what he owns. And knowing, he will be able to manage, to plan, to improve, to tax, to defend. The map enables power, but it also enables justice. With maps, disputes can be settled, boundaries can be clarified, agreements can be verified. Without maps, there is only memory, and memory is fallible, memory fades, memory is disputed, but the map remains, the measurements remain, the stakes remain. You cover the slate. You will copy the map tomorrow onto parchment perhaps with ink, making it more permanent. The slate is for working. The parchment is for keeping, for records, for archives. So that in 10 years, in 50 years, in 100 years, someone can find the map and know what was measured. When? By whom? You extinguish the lamp. The room darkens. You can see the last light of the day through the window. The sky is purple and orange. The stars are beginning to appear, the same stars that wheel overhead every night, the same stars you used to find north, the same stars that guide sailors, that mark the seasons, that measure time. The stars are surveyors too, in a way. They measure the year. They define the celestial sphere. They hang in their positions, unchanging, eternal, or seemingly eternal. They move but so slowly, so gradually, that over a human lifetime they seem fixed, reliable, true. You think about the stars and the stakes. Both are reference points. Both define position. The stars define position in the heavens. The stakes define position on the earth. Together they create a framework, a way of knowing where you are, a way of navigating, a way of measuring. Navigation. That is what surveying is in a way, navigating the land, finding your way across it, marking a path, creating a route. Not a route for walking, but a route for understanding. A route from ignorance to knowledge, from chaos to order. You move to the window. You look out at the darkening field. You cannot see the stakes from here. It is too dark, too far. But you know they are there, standing in their line, marking the boundary, holding the knowledge. Tomorrow, other surveyors might come. They might check your work. They might remeasure the boundary. This is good. This is proper. Verification is important. One surveyor's measurement is a claim. Two surveyors' measurements, if they agree, are a confirmation. Three surveyors' measurements are a certainty. But you are not worried. Your measurements are accurate. Your stakes are well placed. Your map is true. You use the Groma. You use the rope. You use the chain. You use the tools and the methods and the geometry that have been tested over centuries. You trusted the tools. You trusted the methods. You trusted yourself. And if there are small errors, small deviations, they are within the acceptable range. The earth is not perfect. Tools are not perfect. Humans are not perfect, but they are good enough, accurate enough, true enough. You leave the window, you prepare for sleep. You are tired, your body aches, your hands are rough, your shoulders are sore, but it is a good tired, the tired of honest work, of useful work, of work that matters. You lie down, the bed is simple, straw mattress, wool blanket, but it is comfortable. It is yours, you close your eyes. You see the field, the grass, the wind, the stakes in their row, the lines stretching across the ground, straight and true. You see the Groma, the cross, the plumb lines hanging, the weights pulling down, the vertical defining the horizontal. You see the rope, the 12 knots, the triangle forming, 3 and 4 and 5, the corner becoming square, the geometry proving itself. You see the chain, heavy and honest, measuring distance, clink by clink, link by link, the accumulation of certainty. You see the map, the slate, the chalk lines, the representation of reality, the compression of space into symbol. All of it flows through your mind, the day's work, the week's work, the season's work, boundary after boundary, map after map, stake after stake, the endless, patient, necessary work of the surveyor. Your breathing slows, your muscles relax, sleep is coming. The field is quiet now, the wind has died, the grass is still. The stakes stand in the darkness like sentinels, silent, watching, marking. Nothing threatens them, no one will disturb them. They are too valuable, everyone knows what they are, what they mean. To disturb a survey stake is a serious offense. It is tampering with the truth. It is attacking the order. It is inviting chaos. And so the stakes stand. And the boundary they mark is real as the grass, as real as the stream, as real as the oak tree, more real in a way, because the grass will grow and die, the stream will flood and recede, the oak tree will eventually fall. But the boundary recorded in stakes and chains and maps and deeds, the boundary will remain. It will be maintained. It will be defended. It will be passed down through generations. This is what you have created, not just a line on the ground, but a line in time, a definition that will outlast you, that will serve people you will never meet, that will organize a piece of the world long after you are gone. It is a legacy, small perhaps, humble but real. You have brought order, you have made knowledge, you have drawn the line. The world is wild and crooked, but in this field, in this estate, in this small corner of the kingdom, you have brought geometry, you have brought measurement, you have brought certainty. You sleep. The darkness is complete, the stars wheel overhead. The moon rises thin and bright. Its light falls on the field, on the grass, on the stakes. They cast tiny shadows, tiny declarations of their presence. In your sleep, you dream of lines, straight lines reaching to the horizon, lines dividing the world into knowable pieces, lines creating order, creating meaning, creating ownership and responsibility and care. You dream of the Groma, the cross spinning slowly, the plumb lines hanging, the weights pulling down, always down, the constant of gravity, the reliable force that makes surveying possible. You dream of the rope, the 12 knots, the triangle forming over and over, 3 and 4 and 5. 9 plus 16 equals 25, the eternal truth, the proof that geometry is not invented but discovered, that it exists whether humans know it or not, that you are simply revealing what was always there. You dream of the chain, stretching endlessly, link after link, measuring the entire world, every field, every road, every boundary, until everything is known, everything is mapped, everything is ordered. But it is a peaceful dream, not a nightmare, because order is not oppression, order is clarity, order is fairness, order is peace. Without order there is only dispute, only conflict, only the strong taking from the weak. With order there are rules, there are agreements, there are boundaries that are known and respected. The surveyor makes order, the surveyor serves peace. This is the nobility of the work. This is why it matters. You sleep deeper, the dreams fade, you rest in the darkness, in the quiet, in the knowledge that the day's work is done, that it is done well, that it will endure. The night deepens, the village sleeps around you, the fires burn low, the animals are quiet, the world rests. In the field the stakes stand, they will stand through the night, they will stand through many nights. Rain will fall on them, sun will dry them, wind will test them, but they will stand, because they are driven deep, because they are set firm, because they mark something important. In the morning you will wake, you will rise, you will eat, you will gather your tools, and perhaps you will go to the field again. Perhaps you will check the stakes. Perhaps you will begin a new survey. Perhaps you will train your assistant. Perhaps you will copy the map onto parchment. Or perhaps you will rest. Perhaps you will repair your tools. Perhaps you will visit the market. Perhaps you will talk with other surveyors, sharing knowledge, discussing methods, learning new techniques. But that is tomorrow. Tonight is for sleep. Tonight is for rest. Tonight is for the quiet satisfaction of work completed, of lines drawn, of order established. Your breathing is slow and steady. Your heart beats a calm rhythm. Your body is still. You are safe. You are warm. You are at peace. The measured land surrounds you. The estate you surveyed, the boundaries you marked, the maps you made. They exist now. They are real. They are part of the world. They are part of history. And you are part of it too, the surveyor, the one who draws the line, the one who brings order, the one who makes the wild knowable. You sleep. The stars wheel, the moon crosses the sky, the earth turns, time passes, but the stakes remain, the measurements remain, the maps remain, the work remains. This is the legacy of the surveyor, not monuments, not palaces, not fame, but knowledge, accuracy, order, the quiet, essential work that makes civilization possible. Without surveyors, there would be no cities, no roads, no canals, no boundaries, no ownership, no law regarding land, just endless dispute, endless conflict, endless chaos. But with surveyors, there is knowledge, there is agreement, there is peace. You are the surveyor. You have drawn the line. The world is wild and crooked, but you have brought order. The line is straight, the corner is square, the measurement is true, the map is accurate. The work is done. Rest now. Sleep deeply. The stakes stand in the darkness. They guard the boundary. They mark the line. They hold the knowledge. You are safe. You are finished. You are at peace. The grass whispers in the night breeze. The stream murmurs over its stones. The oak tree stands silent and strong. The measured land rests beneath the stars. And you rest too, deep and dreamless now. The surveyors sleep. The sleep of honest work completed. The sleep of order established. The sleep of the one who knows that tomorrow the line will still be there, that the stakes will still stand, that the map will still be true. Rest now. Let the darkness hold you. Let the quiet surround you. Let sleep take you down into its depths. The world is measured. The boundary is marked. The chaos is ordered. And you, the surveyor, can rest. Deep and peaceful. Safe and still. Until morning comes again. And the work begins anew. But for now, sleep. Just sleep. The line is drawn. The work is done. All is well.